What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber die trying. You see the thumbnail of Foreclosures Ahead. Listen, so it talked about the eviction moratorium, right? And sitting down talking to my lady about this, I was like, she was like, people who who went through the pandemic and they put a pause on paying their mortgages. They got that time. What at the end of it, on some of these things, you got to pay a lump sum. You got to pay a lump sum. You got to everything you missed. You got to pay a lump sum at the beginning. Some people they push it back. Some mortgages they push it back. But I thought to myself, I was like, and she was like, "What about the people who paid the lump sum?" I was like, "Man, a lot of people are going to lose those homes. They're going to get foreclosed on." And was having a conversation about how you keep if you're a homeowner, you probably know what I'm talking about. You keep getting those calls. "Hey, my name is Jeff, and we're buying homes in the area. We would see if you like to sell." And I'm like, these are groups, real estate groups, backed by somebody, given a loan by somebody, whether whether it's a business or a bank, to buy a property. And because the price of property is growing, then the properties are worth more. So what if you came in and you had an investment group that had, $2 to $15 million? They could buy a gang of homes off the people who foreclosed because of the pandemic. And the price of rent has gone through the roof. Rent is going up like Bitcoin at its highest, right? So I'm like, okay, are foreclosures ahead? Because I think people are trying to make people lease houses like they do cars. Like if you ever, had a friend who didn't buy a car, they leased it all the time. So they always leased the car. So they never really owned a car. And they had a lot of fly cars, but they was always, relegated to, you can only drive so far, you can only do so much. It's not your ride. If you scratch something, you put the money down, you got to pay this, that, and the third. It's not, it'll never be your car. Not that it's not your car. It'll never be your car. You'll never own it. And I thought about it like, these investment groups are out here probably preying on the people who aren't able to pay their mortgage after this kind of, not just the eviction moratorium, because that's more so for apartments when you think about that evictions, but it does apply to homeowners. Excuse me, in the sense of foreclosure. So what do you think if these people are going to buy a home, off of somebody for a certain price, or if it's foreclosed on for less of a price? Some of them you're going to have to spruce up, some of them you're not. But you buy 10, 15, 20 homes, and you've already, in using the rent, you've already upcharged the person a good 20%, just by rent alone. So people are going to exceedingly not be, apartments are going to be overpriced, and then they're going to go into the homeowner, or the home renter, or the home leaser, or the Airbnb market, and rent a place to stay, while the landlords are going to just keep hiking up the price. So that, and they can have multiple properties where they can hike up the price on this one, and at the same time, like they can have a big house that you would feel like is overpriced or too high, but you have to live there and you can afford it. And then when you're tired of paying for that big house, you go to a smaller house and you're like, this is more reasonable, and you don't realize it's the same company, same people, or vice versa. You get to a smaller house and then you're like, oh, it's kind of cozy, and then you make a little bit more money and you want to go to a bigger house, and you're like, this is what I'm talking about. So it's the same company, but you're getting overcharged at both spots, and you don't really own anything. You have the homeowner feel. So in 2020, because they had the thing where Chase, I want to say think Chase and Bank of America said, you know, as of this month in June, I think June 30th, they're gonna start the eviction process, not the foreclosure process on people who weren't able to pay. And I think Wells Fargo is going to extend it out to 2022. But with all these looming foreclosures, I don't think most people have the money to buy this stuff outright. So I think these corporations, and whether they be small or big, got all the cash in the world to get you out your house. So that's my thoughts on this. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Peace.